How free is the world? In this video, we will take a look at the Human Freedom Index, a report that indicates the degree to which people enjoy civil rights and liberties across the globe. Spoiler alert, the report looks pretty grim. Allow us to kick things off with a non-fun fact. Human freedom has been in decline for almost 20 years. Or in simple terms, in 2025, you are trending towards wearing wide-leg trousers, listening to hyperpop, or just ruling a country in a dictatorial manner. That is, of course, sad news for people living in sad places, but it's great news for Mitsi, who now have a fresh video topic. To give you a clearer picture of the whole situation, we built you a cute little globe with puffy clouds to show you what's going on in the world. The parts that are marked in green are the countries where people are chilling and doing their own thing. You just can't mention biological males having penises, and you're not allowed to use the N-word as a white person. For the rest, everything's cool. Oh, and separating church and state probably also helped big time. The orange parts are countries that have a few issues concerning classical liberal principles. For example, rule of law, security and safety, freedom of movement, freedom of religion, freedom of association and assembly, freedom to watch Mitsi studio videos, freedom of expression, freedom in relationships, freedom in making long lists that make people bored and want to hang themselves, etc. By the way, talking about hanging yourself, we cannot forget about the red territories. Now, these countries are truly fucked up beyond all recognition. Forget about free press, judicial independence, or the right to protest. Yes, the long list continues. When you live in these countries, your life becomes something like a YouTube video, but with the comment section turned off. Or set to strict monetary so the government can arrest you, your parents, your sister, and your dog. Finally, the grey-coloured territories are countries where there is no data available. Or better said, nobody gave two ends of a shit about people living there, so they just opted for the neutral grey colour. But even in countries where freedom is supposedly upheld, the media landscape can be a minefield of bias and manipulation. Take the recent announcement by Meta to end its US fact-checking program on Facebook and Instagram. Some outlets hailed it as a victory for free speech, while others decided it was a step towards unchecked misinformation. That's exactly why we use Ground News. Here, you can even check how many news sources are covering a particular story and compare the way different outlets frame the story by looking at multiple headlines. With Ground News, you can see how different media outlets, left, right, and center, are reporting on this story. The platform's bias ratings show you where each source comes from. Ground News also offers a blind spot feed, highlighting stories that may be underreported by one side of the political spectrum, ensuring you don't get stuck in an echo chamber. To stay informed and see through the media bias, check out Ground News. For a limited time, you can get 40% off their Unlimited Access Vantage plan, which is the plan I use to stay informed. Just scan the QR code on your screen or click my link in the description. Remember to use my link, groundnews.com/Mitsi, to navigate the media minefield of bias and manipulation. As we mentioned earlier, you can see the continents of North America and Australia are doing pretty well. You could add the continent of Europe as well if you ignore Belarus and Russia as actually being in Europe. South America is doing moderately well with the exception of Venezuela. The continent of Africa and the region of the Middle East are basically a shit show. Surprise, surprise. Of course, we're not talking about every country, but generally speaking, it's not very good. In many of these countries, you have authoritarian and corrupt governments. Add to that a particular religion which doesn't seem to go very well with basic human liberties. Wonder which religion we're talking about. Allow me to demonstrate. I just need to find my wife and her suicide vest. Sorry, what's that? No, baby, you don't look fat in that. Besides suicide vests, let's not forget about all the armed militias fucking around, killing civilians everywhere and all the time. I hope that no further explanation is required to tell you how that's not helping a country looking free on the freedom chart. Moving over to Asia, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and for some reason, Mongolia are doing pretty well. However, India and most countries in Southeast Asia achieve a moderate score on the index. If we go right smack to the middle, the People's Republic of China is not a great place for being free. It is also a bit ironic they had to call it the People's Republic. Although Chinese communist officials are technically people, maybe that is what they meant. Over the years, China has built one of the biggest and most extensive surveillance networks in the world, using artificial intelligence to monitor its population. Oh, and they called a part of that system Skynet. I bet one of those communist official boys is a big Terminator fan. I'm just not so sure if "I'll be back" is going to have the same ring to it in Chinese. You know what? Let's try it out. Here's Chinese Arnie. 我会回来的. Yeah, I'm not a fan yet. Unless I'm being monitored right now, and then yes, I am a big fan. Additionally, the government has implemented a social credit system that evaluates citizens' behavior. Basically, if you express your dislike towards the government, you might not be allowed to ride on the trains. If the government gets even more upset, they might throw you in front of said train that you were not allowed to ride on. Long story short, credit scores matter in China. And how about protest rights in China? Well, do you remember this event? Do I need to say more? It looks like the Chinese government guarantees freedom of speech, just no freedom after that speech. Minor detail. China is also the world's largest jailer of journalists, with most of them being Uyghurs. Over the years, more than 1 million Uyghurs have been detained by the Chinese, so I guess it doesn't matter much if you are a Uyghur, a journalist, or both. Worldwide, freedom for people in different countries is in most cases best reflected by its free press, or the lack of it. Countries like Eritrea, Syria, Afghanistan, North Korea, and Iran are among the worst of the bunch. Despite the relative higher scores in Europe, North America, and Australia on the Human Freedom Index, it does not mean these countries don't face significant challenges regarding human rights and liberties. However, many protesters misrepresent these challenges to criticize Western policies and organize the dumbest protests you can imagine. For example, the climate activist groups blocking roads, so traffic needs to be redirected, causing more carbon emissions in the process. Although it still beats throwing soup on paintings. Or people who criticize colonialism but have no problem living in the same rich country built on that exact same colonial doctrine. Or the campus students who cry out loud against cultural appropriation but all wear a keffiyeh when it comes to protesting a war. I'll bet all of these people are very grateful to use their right to protest in this wicked place we call democracy. It's like you, your parents, and your grandparents all worked hard to build an ark trying to save all living things from the flood, and now the fat fuck elephant is complaining about splinters in his foot. Maybe we should be more worried about rising hypocrisy instead of sea levels. The year 2024 was the year with the most elections. While over 80% of the countries in the world conduct elections, less than 40% of those elections are genuinely free and fair. So, to wrap things up, freedom is like your grandma's old Wi-Fi. Spotty, unpredictable, and somehow still better than what you get in North Korea. But hey, at least now you know where you can go if you want to be free. I gotta warn you though, there's a queue. Because in a world where freedom is disappearing faster than your attention span, at least we still have this same lame-ass channel telling you the truth. Sort of, with a bit of sarcasm and the occasional suicide vest joke thrown in. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may your credit score be high, your protest rights intact, and your big elephant feet free of splinters.